Welcome back to the Coming of Cage podcast, your Nicolas Cage movie review podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Derek, and your other host, Ryan, is with me in the booth.
In the metaphorical booth, because the
Yeah,
literal booth is not really a booth.
it's
But
it's a it's a studio in our heads, you know.
yes, it's our head studio. Um, yeah, this week we're reviewing another Nicolas Cage movie. I
Whoa.
know this is a big surprise for people, but we wanted to do what the audience wants, so that's what we're going with this week. This is our 93rd Nicolas Cage movie titled The Surfer, a modern day Nicolas Cage movie. We have like, PP and PP, pre-pig and post-pig Nicolas Cage. And this is
God.
this is PP.
I feel like there needs to be more than just two eras of Nick, because you had like his pre-action star phase, then you had his action star phase, then you had post the action star phase,
Well,
but pre-pig.
post the action star phase is the Nick Cage needs money phase.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then, like 2017 or 2018, he started not needing money as much.
That's why I think there's four eras of Nicolas Cage,
Yeah,
I think.
fair
I got to work
enough.
out the names of them, but I think there's
Yeah,
four eras.
you work on that.
I will. I will. But yeah, we're talking The Surfer, 2024's The Surfer. This is a psychological thriller about a man returns to the idyllic beach of his childhood to surf with his son. When he is humiliated by a group of locals, the man is drawn into a conflict that keeps rising and pushes him to his breaking point. Yeah, stars
Deal?
Nicolas Cage and Julian McMahon, who people probably know from one of two things, either the original Fantastic Four movies as Doctor Doom or Nip Tuck, in which he was the lead in the Nip Tuck series on FX. He's the only one I recognized from the movie out of the rest of the cast. It's a film that takes place in Australia on a fictional beach. The beach in the movie does not actually exist. I looked. It's not real.
Okay. Appreciate you doing the diligence for us.
Well, I wanted to look it up and kind of see where it was in relation to, the rest of Australia, and it doesn't exist. So it is what it is. But yeah, this was a big hit at Cannes Movie Festival. And we watched it, so we are going to talk about it. And it's a movie. It's a movie.
It does technically count as a movie.
It is. It
Um,
checks all those boxes.
I do remember when we were fairly early on in this podcast and some set photos came out. Do you remember this? Where they were like, Nick Cage is in Australia filming The Surfer, and it was just like pictures of Nick Cage on the beach in in the black wetsuit
Yeah, yeah.
with the bleached hair and everything.
Hmm.
Good times.
Yeah, I mean, this. So let me just ask you this: was this what you thought it was going to be?
Well, I don't think there's any way I could have like guessed what this movie was going to be. I did have a pretty good idea that it was going to be like a really weird movie because one of our friends watched it and said that it was more like Mandy than it was, anything else. And, while I don't know if I'd make that comparison directly in terms of his work, it has some similarities, I think. But yeah, I had an idea it was going to be weird, more weird than it seemed like it would be based on the title and the poster and everything.
Yeah, I think for me, between the trailer and what our friend told us about it, I think I was expecting something else than what we actually got.
So you were pleasantly surprised or unpleasantly surprised?
So, I mean, spoiler warnings, everybody. I was unpleasantly surprised.
That's not really a spoiler. You can say you
Yeah.
didn't enjoy a movie. It doesn't spoil the
I'm not going to
movie.
bury the lead. No, yeah, I mean, like there was a moment where I was like, "Oh, okay, that's going to go this way. That's interesting at least." And then they didn't do it, and I was like, "Okay, well, that's a shame."
You'll have to
Like
let me know what that was when we get to that point in our podcast.
I reached the point where I'm not saying that this would have made more sense if they had gone that route, but it would have been more entertaining and more emotional, and I needed something, man, because the majority of this movie is Nicolas Cage in a parking lot.
and super close-ups of random people's body parts and random Australian wildlife.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my flat take on this is I think the performances are very good. I think the cast is very believable in the roles that they were playing. I think the story is not any good.
Yeah, it was trying to be something more than it actually was, I think. I will say that I don't think there's another actor that could have done this.
I think that would have been very, very
I
difficult.
think they had to get Nicolas Cage. I can't picture any other actor. There's a lot of good actors we both love and respect out there. None of them could have done this role. Maybe Willem Dafoe could have
That's what I was
like
gonna say. Yes,
done
he's
something
the
similar,
only other one.
but yeah, I mean, even him, I don't think would have done as well.
I
Like,
think the I think Willem Dafoe does the crazed side of it really well, but I don't think Nick can also play the like milk toast dad as well.
right. And Willem
And
Dafoe doesn't really do that.
exactly, and this role does need both of those.
Yeah.
So I think Willem is as close as you can get, but I agree with you. I think that Nick is especially suited for this role, and I think he does a fantastic job with what he's given. And I think the same is said for Julian McMahon and the rest of the cast. They're really the main two, but I think everybody was good in it. I just I'm not I'm not sure that this movie works is the problem.
All right. Well, we should probably dig into it.
Let's do it.
Do want to say that the internet does seem to disagree with us, and we'll get into some of
Yeah.
the reviews later, but it's rated at a 5.9 out of 10 on IMDb, which is definitely on the higher end of most of the Nick Cage movies we watch.
Mhm.
So I do find that interesting. Although maybe we should bring this up. We did talk about it a little bit before we started the podcast, is that I have this theory, and there's going to probably be people that don't like me after I say this, but I have this theory that movies that make people feel smarter than the movie actually is, they tend to get higher ratings. Like people rate them higher because they feel like they have to be in this elite club of people that get it.
Yeah.
I think this movie is like that. I think Donnie Darko is kind of like that. What was the other movie that I there's another movie I
You
shouted
mentioned
out.
Fight Club.
Fight
Uh,
Club.
I would
Yeah.
also put John Lynch's Eraserhead
Yeah.
in that bin as well. Movies that I think, and I don't even know if the movie makes you think that you're smart for figuring out as much as you think other people think it's smart. So you don't want to
Exactly.
seem like you're not. And I don't know.
So
I've
you rate it
watched,
higher that way. Yeah.
yeah. And look, man, you and I have watched so many movies, like just together for these podcasts that we've done over the years, let alone separately for other personal reasons. Like we've watched a lot of movies. At this point, I'm not going to fake it. If I
Yeah.
like a movie, I like it. If I don't, I will let you know.
And we've talked about I think Mandy was a victim of that to an extent, but I think Mandy was a much better movie than this one.
100%.
And I actually want to do a Mandy rewatch at some point because
Oh,
movies like this make me appreciate what that movie actually accomplished. And maybe I didn't actually appreciate it as much when I first watched it, but it
that's
also
fair.
gave Nick Cage better chances to shine this movie. He has a lot of good chances to shine. It's just they're not as well set up.
Yeah. He's given
It
a lot
doesn't feel
more.
earned. Like, you know,
Well, that's part of the problem. We'll get into it from the story perspective. I think like with Mandy, Mandy is a very off the rails movie, and I think a lot of it is left unexplained, and a lot of it is left up to interpretation and question. Like we've talked about this before, like how at the end of the movie, I don't know if he's on Earth anymore at the end of Mandy. Like I have a lot of questions about Mandy.
but it's set up from the beginning to be a weird ass, like out there movie. This movie is kind of set up in
Right.
the beginning to be like a normal Nick Cage movie, as
Yeah.
normal as that is.
And I think for lack of a better word, twist in this does not work for me. And I think that the twist I thought was coming, while it may not have made like logical sense, I would have preferred it. And we'll get to that when we get there and everything. I just think this is definitely from a story perspective nowhere near as interesting or strong as Mandy is, even if the performances in it are good.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, we should probably get into it.
Let's do it.
So if you've not listened to this podcast before and you're starting on this one, you're in for a ride, as you
Welcome.
probably already figured out. But the way we usually do these is I take notes throughout the movie, and Derek tries to help me figure out what I meant by the notes because I usually have forgotten by that point. But yeah, so starting at the beginning, we always like to count the number of title screens. Do you know how many this one had? Did you
Was it,
count?
it was a four?
Five.
Ah, I missed one.
Yeah, and one of them was, of course, Saturn,
Yep.
which is
Which
Nick Cage's, production company.
mhm.
Um, right out of the gate, we get super weird music. It's so this is a Christmas time movie, but
Right.
it's the way the movie is like shown. It doesn't look like Christmas at all because it's in Australia. There's no snow. There's no Christmas decorations. There's no nothing.
One guy wears a Santa hat. That's
Yeah.
it.
But the music is very like Christmassy, full of bells, kind of like,
Hmm.
not real Christmas music that you would know, but Christmas sounding music.
Vibes. Yeah.
Right out of the gate. And right out of the gate, we also find out that Nick has no Australian accent, but his son, he was born in Australia,
Yeah.
eventually went to the United States, which is not, it's like a throwaway line later
Yeah.
in the
So
movie, but
his dad's American. They moved that he was born in Australia, but when his dad died, he was like a young teen and they moved back to the States.
yeah, so he grew up in Australia, but then didn't have an Australian accent.
I mean, his dad wasn't Australian. Like I've worked really hard over the years to get rid of my northeastern accent, but I had one when I was younger just because my parents had it, you
Sure,
know?
but I think there's a little bit of a difference between like you're still it's still an American accent. An Australian accent, European accents are much thicker and harder to
Sure.
get rid of. I've been around a lot of people from the Northeast, trust me. I
No,
mean,
I'm
they
with
are.
you.
It's not that it's hard, not difficult to get rid of, but it can be done. I think getting rid of an Australian accent, well, you've been living there for 15 years, let's say, and then you're moving back as an adult. I don't know.
It's a little weird because
I think he
everybody
just couldn't
else.
do an Australian accent very convincingly because we've had some discussions about his accent abilities before.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like at this stage of his career, you get him a dialect coach, and a little bit of time. Like, I just can't,
Well,
I
I don't
can't
think they
imagine.
had the money for either of those things for
I
this
mean,
movie.
maybe not as his production company. How much can a dialect coach cost for one movie? I just, like for an Australian accent, it's not like it's something that's, an ancient language or dialect that nobody speaks anymore or something like that.
It's true. I just don't think that he probably didn't want to do it.
And that
They
may be
probably
it.
wrote that line in just because, he didn't want to do an accent. He's tried to do accents in other movies to varying levels of success. He's much better at doing weird voices
Yeah.
than he is doing accents.
It just reminded me of a Time to Kill where with the Italian war movie where everyone is speaking English with an Italian accent except for him.
Except for him. Yeah, yeah.
You know.
And there's a lot of movies that we've done like that too. So, but that one's one of the most glaringly obvious. Yeah. Along with this one. But yeah, so right at the beginning of the movie, you kind of get some vibes that something weird is going on because there's just like these random like 5 frame memory. Well, you don't know if they're memories. They're like, is it a hallucination? Is it a memory? What is it? Like pop up of like a body on a beach or like a young Australian man with bleached hair, or like just random shit. And this happens throughout the movie. And like I couldn't even jot the notes for what the things were because they happened so fast. And like I feel was worried I was going to miss another one of what they were. Like it's miss a whole memory or whatever I was supposed to be seeing because this movie just randomly does it in random spots where it doesn't necessarily make any sense. Some of it is unexplained and it just doesn't. There's no context really.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's a thing. He's trying to buy a house at this like overlooking this beach. And he's taking his son there, who it seems like it's implied he doesn't really have a relationship with.
It certainly seems like they haven't spent a lot of time together.
Yeah, they don't. There's not a lot of chemistry between the two of them.
Hmm.
Um, and so he's taking his son to this beach that he grew up surfing at, and he wants to take his son out surfing so because that's where the best view of the house he's buying is, which was the house his grandfather owned, uh, you know, decades ago. And it's
Right.
finally up on the market, and he said he's been working his whole life to get it. and his son seems less than enthused.
We certainly find out relatively fast that this was some type of like sticking point for Nick's character, right? He's been desperately trying to get this house back. So clearly the family lost it under less than ideal terms.
Yeah, and it's like his life's goal to get it back.
Hmm. Exactly.
And so we find out that, I mean, maybe it's a little later on, but we find out that, there's some troubles, like, and they have another buyer bidding on the house. And so he's trying to get money together to throw another bid in. And that's a major plot point through, like, the kind of the second act of this.
Hmm.
But he goes out to the beach with his son. They both put their wetsuits on and then they grab their surfboards and they walk out to the beach. And immediately a guy named Pitbull, I guess, comes up to him and says something like "No locals, no surfing" or something like that. Only locals, no surfing. I don't remember
He's a
something.
huge ass about it. Like it's way over the top. He's like super aggressive and belligerent.
Yeah, and so he's like, "I'm just trying to surf here with my son," and then Julian McMahon's character comes over and he's like, "Here, can I talk to you away from your son for a second?" And he's like, "Listen, just leave. You're not allowed to be here. This is a locals only beach." And he never mentions at this point in the movie that his grandfather owned that and he was born here, or anything like that. He just says, "I just want to surf. I just want to surf here with my son. I surfed here, whatever. I just want to surf here again." And he's like, "I know it's embarrassing to lose face in front of your son, but just go ahead and leave." And so
Yeah.
he does.
Now, like, I don't know about you, but that's probably enough for me because I don't care how tough you are. There's like a dozen of these guys,
Yeah,
right? So, okay, how many of them are you going to take down before they just bum rush you, and it's over? They clearly aren't really worried about your kid, and you don't live here yet. You haven't bought the place yet. But for me, like, this is just a huge red flag of I don't want to live here. Like, I don't
right,
care. I don't care. Like, I understand he wants his family home back. My parents, they moved out of my childhood house for not so fun financial reasons when I was younger. I always wanted to get it back. If I was trying to buy it back and these were my neighbors, I would say no thanks and move on. It's still just a house at the end of the day. He's got a kid. He's at this point we think he has a family, right? And he's you need to take care of your family too. And so this is the movie loses me really fast because the obsession just never worked for me.
yeah. Um, so I can't remember. Does he actually take his son home, or does his son ride his bike away or
No,
something?
they leave together.
Yeah, and then he comes back to the beach, and he's there for the rest of the movie. Never leaves again. Basically, he ends up. It looks like sitting in his car basically all day. But like while he's sitting in his car, he's letting it run. It's a beautiful advertisement for Lexus. Although later in the
Yeah.
movie, it's not really a great advertisement for Lexus. But they definitely like highlight the Lexus badges and like the Apple on his phone and everything like that. It's a lot of advertising.
No,
But
I mean, I think it makes the car look nice. I mean, it's a very pretty car. It's got the
early in
cool.
the movie, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, later in the movie, I mean, it's vandalized, but
Well, also it just won't start and
well,
things like that.
I mean, you leave a
Anyway,
car running overnight. I don't know what you
so
expect,
yeah,
but
he's like sitting in the car, and he's making phone calls. And one of the phone calls he gets is from his work, saying, "Why aren't you here today? Um, we got this thing, and I, we need you here. The boss is asking for you." And he's like, "Well, I have to take the day off. I'm trying to get this house. I'll be in tomorrow." And then that never pays off because spoiler alert, he doesn't come back tomorrow. He's at this beach for like a week.
it's at least 3 days.
Yeah.
At least it might be more, but it's at least 3 days.
They never bring the job thing. He's when he says that's going to come in the next day at this time. There's never any resolution to that.
No, at no point. So by the end of before you get to the tail end of the movie, like how assuming this works out and he buys the house, he doesn't have a job anymore. He
Yeah,
just stopped showing up.
right.
Like I
It's
just,
weird. Like when you hear that phone call, they made a point of doing that early on in the movie. So I felt like there was going to be like maybe somebody from the job was going to come looking for him or something like that. But no, nothing like that.
it seemed that it was going to create some type of time pressure, but it doesn't. If that phone call doesn't happen, the movie doesn't change.
Right. It affects nothing. It would have been a good way to get rid of the extra 10 minutes and drop it down to an hour 30.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, so yeah, he stays there even into the nighttime. He stays there.
But he's not doing anything.
No.
Like I don't understand why at this point, I don't know why he's there.
He's like at any time in this movie that he's outside of the car in the parking lot, there's this horrible green filter all over everything.
It's
It
so bright.
almost looks like night vision or something. I don't really know what they were going with,
I,
but it did not look good.
I think it was supposed to be like just the sun's intensity, but yeah, I'm with you that it didn't work. I don't think it was. I didn't see it as strongly as you did necessarily, but I don't think it worked.
No, it wasn't great. I can't remember why he leaves his car at this point, but he comes back to it and his surfboard is gone off the top of it.
Well, he keeps like spying on them. Right. So like there's this group down at the beach. It's not just those two guys. Like I said, it's like a dozen different guys. They've got a little shack down there, and we're hearing like little bits that kind of sound, maybe religious in nature or something like
They're
that.
like partying, there's
They're partying. It's
drinking, yeah.
And so he like keeps spying on them from because it's down the parking lot is like up on a high hill and you have to walk down this hill to the beach. And so he keeps spying on them from different vantage points. They know he's there,
Yeah.
and so he kind of just keeps walking away. And then, yeah, at some point, someone steals his surfboard.
And
But
there's a bum, like a homeless guy that's living or that has his broken down Subaru Outback,
yeah,
in the corner of this parking lot at
I
this
mean, he's
beach.
credited as the bum, just to be clear.
Yeah. Um, and Nick at some point trades his like designer sunglasses because at this point he's driving a Lexus, he's wearing a suit, he's got these nice everything, and this guy he asks this guy for his binoculars, and he's like, "Well, you know, give me your sunglasses." I think this is actually the next day. I was trying to remember why he was getting out of the car at that point, but maybe it was just to use the bathroom or something. But yeah, he comes back and his board is stolen.
What was it? The pizza thing? I think that's what it was. So they get the partier people down at the beach get a bunch of pizzas delivered. It's like
Oh
20
yeah, yeah.
pizzas. And he wants to buy one of the pizzas off the delivery guy. Now look, if these people are as dangerous as everyone keeps saying they are, and I'm a delivery guy getting paid on this, I'm not gonna like put my life on the line to make a few extra bucks on a pizza. But whatever. No one in this movie makes any sense to me. So he buys one of the pizzas for $100, puts it on the roof of his car, and then goes to fill up his water bottle.
Yeah.
And which is by the bathrooms, and when he comes back, the pizza's on the ground and the surfboard is gone.
Right, that's what it was.
That's what
And
happened.
for all we know, the delivery guy was one of the Beach Boys or whatever they're called.
Yeah, based on how the
So
movie goes, I'm sure he was.
yeah. So yeah, he comes out and the pizza's on the ground and the surfboard's missing. So he goes down to the beach to confront him because he's sure that they stole it and gets in a fight and beats actually ends up beating the shit out of one of the guys.
He does,
And
yeah. It's
and
very
then
it's one of those stereotypical. There's 20 of them, but only one of them's gonna fight with Nick.
right, the rest are just watching and laughing. And also, like, it was a terribly choreographed fight scene. I mean, it was just first of all, it's dark out, so it makes it easier to hide the stunt man. But then it was just lots of cuts to make it look like Nick is able to do these things. Let's face it, he's an older man,
Yeah, he's
60+
62
years
now.
old.
He's
Yeah,
fighting
six.
this guy who's like 30.
Yeah, chances are like one tackle from this guy, and he's gonna be like fucked up for 2 months.
Well, we all like part of the problem with this movie though is we get very little character background on most of these people, with a couple of exceptions. So we don't really know anything about Nick's character other than he likes to surf, right?
Yeah.
So like, can he fight? Is he in good shape? Like, should he be? I
He
don't know.
doesn't even have a name.
No, he's just the surfer. He's never given a name in the entire movie. His kid isn't either.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because of the way that they are like looking in the credits, you would assume that it would be one of those because we've had those Nick Cage movies where no one has a name and they're all called like the something. And it
Yeah.
seemed like they were setting this up with this movie, but then no, all of the Beach Boys or whatever their fucking name was had nicknames.
Well, they all have names. You have like so Julian McMahon's character is Scally. There's Curly. There's Pitbull. There's Blondie. Now there's some people like the barista, the estate agent, the bum, the three kind of younger guys who keep like bullying Nick. They're Runt one, two, and three.
Yeah.
So like it's a small cast. It's not like they don't all have like fleshed out names, but I mean his son's name is just the kid.
Yeah. But yeah, like pick a naming thing and go with it instead of doing it like that. I think that's a little annoying.
That's fair.
But he goes down and confront him, and they're like, and what some guy breaks a bottle and is like threatening to stab him and tells him to go away. So he goes back up to his car and calls the police. Well, the police don't show up until the next morning, so he spends presumably all night in his car.
Hmm.
Um, and the police officers like this, so they stole your board, and he's like, yeah, and he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go talk to him. You stay here. And so the officer goes down there and starts talking to him, but then Nick is suspicious because it's been a while, so he goes and trades the bum for the binoculars for his
Hmm.
sunglasses, and he goes and starts spying, and he sees that the cop is like joking around with these guys, and like it clearly is not actually trying to get his board back. So he goes down there to confront the cop, and the cop says, "Hey, man, listen, I've known these guys. That board has been in there for 7 years."
Basically, it's the sign on the hut now. It's actually it says sanctuary on it, which I think they painted on it. I mean, it does look like it belonged there to be, so they did a good job of that at least.
Yeah, yeah, and so they don't give him the board back because the cop says it's been there for 7 years, and the cop is like, "Listen, you just need to leave and forget about this place." And so Nick does not do that, obviously. He goes back to his car, and his car is dead. He tries to start it, doesn't work. Then there's a close-up shot of a kookaburra for like
Is that what that was?
10 seconds. Yeah, this bird with a weird, really weird laughing call, which I think the director really was inspired by because he utilizes it throughout this movie. And a
Mm.
lot of times, I don't know if you noticed in the background, but when something like bad happened to Nick, the kookaburra would like make that laughing call in the
See,
background.
I'm not a big bird guy, so I don't know that I made the connection. I remember the sound, but I wasn't thinking, oh, that's the kookaburra. Like I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. And so we get a close up shot of this one kookaburra, which is apparently the one that's mocking Nick Cage this whole movie.
Oh
Um,
man.
there's a lot of weird wildlife in this movie. I think I have some other stuff written in here, but there's like a bearded dragon just randomly. Like in America, we have those as pets, but apparently
Right.
they run wild in Australia, hang out in parking lots near the beach. I mean, maybe that's true. I don't know. I never really looked into it, but um, yeah, there's just a lot of weird like snake shots and like animals you would think would play a bigger theme in this movie with how much they're featured,
But they
but they
don't.
don't in any way, except for like that one kookaburra that keeps laughing in the background. That might even be me trying to like read more into it than it was actually planned.
I mean, there's the rat.
Yeah, there's the rat.
There is the rat.
So he goes into the bathroom the next day. He's thirsty, and he goes to look for more water, and the water fountain has poop. I don't know if it's canine or human or what.
Because of the bag that's with it, I'm assuming it's dog, but you
Yeah, but
know.
there's shit all over it. Um, and if you're dying of thirst, a normal human would probably be like, "Well, there's water here, so I could just like use the water to wash off the poop and use like toilet paper to like also help clean it or whatever." But he doesn't do that. He just leaves it and lets it fester. But then he goes into the bathroom and he takes off his jacket, his suit
Oh my God.
jacket, and his shoes and socks, and leaves them in the bathroom, and then walks in this bathroom barefoot, mind you. Can't think of a public bathroom where I'd ever feel comfortable walking barefoot.
Never. Nope.
Um,
Not in a
but
million years.
he does that and he leaves it all out in the bathroom and then like goes into a stall. Well, then he hears the bum coming in And he like creeps up onto the toilet so that they can't see his feet, and he sees the bum like sticking this package like wrapped in a red bag up on top of the wall of the bathroom. And then he leaves. And you think, oh, that's weird. He should check that out. Well, no. Not
I mean, he
until
does
like
later.
the third act of the movie, when it's 2 days later, he's like, oh yeah, that red bag. I should check that out. But when he comes out of this bathroom, um, all his stuff is missing. Big surprise. Who could have seen that coming?
Except the binoculars.
Except the binoculars. So the bum is at least gonna honor his commitment there, and let him have it, but keep the binoculars.
What is that moral line there? Well, we did trade for those. I'm going to steal the rest of your stuff.
Exactly. And so we didn't really mention it, but each morning that he's been there, there's this like small coffee and like breakfast stand that's
Yeah,
there at the beach, and he goes there and he gets a coffee or whatever, and he hits his phone on the little tap to pay thing and whatever. Well, this morning he tries to do that, but his phone dies just as he's getting ready to pay for it. And so he's trying to negotiate with the guy.
which by the
Uh,
way, this right here is just like a poster child for have something else that doesn't use a battery.
right. He's like, all my cards are on my phone.
Bummer,
And
dude.
yeah, and so the guy's like, "Yeah, that sucks." And he's like, "Well, I can you charge my phone for me?" He's like, "Well, electricity ain't free." And it's like, "Yeah, that's true." And so Nick bargains with him and tells him, "Here, take my watch." That I don't know what kind of watch it was. I'm not really a watch guy,
He
but
says it's his dad's though.
yeah, it was his dad's watch, and so he gives it to this guy, and he's like, "I'm gonna come back for that when my phone is charged." Or no, I'm gonna come back for that later once I can pay for it, because he gives the guy his phone also to charge for him.
Right.
Um, so he takes the coffee after this, and there's like people in line behind him. They're like, "Come on, man, just get out of the way." So he takes this coffee, walks about 20 feet away, and the guy that was behind him just walks over to him and hits the coffee and splashes the coffee all over him. I'm like, this is reminiscent of what was the Weatherman, where he gets like drinks
Oh
thrown at him the
yeah.
whole time, where people are just
Yeah.
assholes to him completely.
The
Um,
thing is though, like in this case, like yes, they're all assholes, 100%. They're all nuts. But at some point, what the fuck is Nick the surfer doing here? I don't
yeah,
understand.
he keeps like looking progressively worse throughout this movie, right? Like he starts the movie looking normal, but then as the like it was kind of foreshadowing because at one point when the cop comes over, the cop is acting like he thinks Nick had this like super or is living out of his car basically, and Nick is like, "Do I look homeless to you?" Well, throughout the movie, he's going to look more and more like a bum or
Yeah.
homeless person or whatever. But yeah, at this point, he's like got stains all over his shirt. He's missing his shoes and socks. He's missing his jacket and his watch and his phone. And
He stepped on
he's
glass
trying
at
to
one
get
point.
more and more red. He's looking more and more crazy. Yeah,
It's all bad. I I cannot relate to any of the motives for this character at all. So as the movie progresses, I'm just less and less attached to what's going on, and that
yeah.
doesn't help.
So then a couple of French people show up. Um, and the only part I really liked about this was that they showed up in a Mitsubishi Delica van, which is a really cool Japanese van that we didn't get here in the United States. But I really like them, so I was like, "Ooh, Delica!" But they're pretty. The people like them out in Australia and New Zealand. They're very popular out there. But they show up and they clearly are planning on going surfing. It's a woman and a man. And Nick is like, you shouldn't go down there. It's pretty hostile. There's just locals only. And they're like, oh, we're friendly. It'll be fine. And then like not that long after, he sees the guy coming back with his face all bloody.
Well, no,
Excuse
we
me.
get to see the fight.
Do we?
Yeah, so he after they go down there, he like does his binoculars thing again, and we watch like the dude get his ass beat.
I might have been writing notes at that point, so I might have missed it.
I mean, it's bad. It's pretty brutal. Like I at some point what's happening is just not realistic anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like I get that like maybe they've bought off a cop or two or something, but like this dude is physically assaulted with like bleeding injuries and stuff like that. and like there's no consequences for any of it.
No, because
I
well,
just
it's explained because the guy that is running this whole thing down there owns like this entire area. His family
I
is rich,
I
and
guess
you know, yeah.
I guess it's just I don't know. Like
So he decides, Nick decides that this night he's going to go down and he's going to get back his surfboard. And so he goes down to the cabin and he see on the beach and he sees some sort of like cultish ritual happening where they keep saying like suffer, surfer, surfer, suffer,
yeah.
which is foreshadowing for him really. But they light up a brand that looks like waves, and in order to surf there, you have to like feel the pain of something, and so they brand this random guy with this brand, and now he's accepted into the group or whatever. But while this is happening, Nick is like sneaking around like very poorly. I don't know how they didn't see him or hear him. It's not a well-made cabin. It's like you can
Well,
see
they're
through the
drunk and
walls.
high, so
Yeah, true. But he gets around to the front where his board is at, and there's a dog on a chain that starts barking at him and scares him, and he falls off the edge of the cabin. And then they start chasing him and saying they're going to kill him, and they've all got torches from somewhere. I don't know where all these torches came from, but there's probably 20 torches that are immediately lit.
all the best cults have torches.
I mean, I agree, but where did those come from? They just have torches in this cabin
I
that are
don't
never shown to
know.
have torches anywhere. Anyway,
I don't
they're
know, man.
all
He
chasing
goes
him.
down there with a tire iron thinking that's going to help him get the surfboard down. Like I don't know. This movie makes so little sense to me.
Yeah. But anyway, he starts running away like through the woods and hiding, and then he hides like behind the broken down outback, and then he goes into the woods while these guys are searching for him with torches. Um, when we see his car, it's got some graffiti on the side. I don't remember what it said, but
I think it said kook,
something like that. Yeah,
which maybe that's more offensive in Australia than it is here. I've been called way worse. I don't
me too.
know.
But yeah, he goes out into the woods and he's like watching the guys look for him out there, and a snake randomly just kind of slithers between his hands, and he doesn't move.
I thought it was
And
gonna bite him or scare him or something, but
no, it's just
nothing.
there. They're just
Yeah.
like coexisting.
They're like, hey, we have a
Um,
snake budget, guys. We should use
right.
it.
We have all these this animal wrangler here, and he's got a snake in his car. We should just have him use that too. I wouldn't be surprised if it was actually just like a wild snake that just was they're filming in Australia. It
Maybe.
just showed up. But no, because I imagine Nick would have been pretty freaked out. He likes snakes, but I don't think he like wants potentially. This one didn't look venomous to me, but I don't know a lot about Australian snakes. But I know that Australia has like the highest concentration of venomous snakes. So as Nick Cage, I probably wouldn't want to risk that.
They have the highest concentration of every animal that wants to kill you.
Yeah, true. Shout out to drop bears.
Oh,
Um,
Jesus.
yeah, so and then eventually he like passes out and he wakes up the next morning with cuts all over his face from something.
Well, the rocks. So these guys are throwing rocks at him when he's like running away up the hill.
But if he's running away, how are they hitting him on the
Because
face?
so there is a shot. He literally stops and looks back and he gets hit right in the face with one of the
Okay,
rocks.
I must
So
have
like
missed that.
that it's yeah, there's continuity there. That's fine. But he's looking not so hot.
Yeah. So he wakes up in the morning and now his car is gone. The parking lot is empty other than the Subaru Outback. And the cop comes back. We don't know why. Nobody called. He couldn't have called him because he doesn't have a phone. Um,
I mean we
presumably one of the beach guys called him.
I mean I think we know why really after the
Well,
fact,
yeah,
but
but in the moment, it's like okay, the cop just wants to come say hi, I guess.
yep.
But the cop is implying that Nick has been this homeless man this whole time, or like the homeless man didn't exist and Nick was him. It's a little confusing, but yeah, he's telling him to get his car fixed, even though this isn't his car. But Nick is like instantly accepts that he's this homeless man because he like gets into the car and he is looking through all the stuff in the car.
So this is where the movie takes a path. I thought for a moment that they were going to take the path of actually he is the bum and he's having like a psychological breakdown. And at one point he was this successful family guy, but clearly fell on hard times and he's kind of created this fake narrative reality for himself to kind of like keep himself going and justify things, right? And I'm like, okay, so I don't know that that works, but it's at least interesting. It explains some of his erratic behavior, and it could end up being really emotional if they go that route, right? This like sad, broken guy. Obviously, that's not what they do. Instead, to your point, he just kind of accepts that it's his car now because the cop said so.
Yeah. And the bum is nowhere to be found at this point.
I
So yeah, Nick steals his like there's this surfing competition they mentioned a few times throughout this movie that happens on this beach every year called the Shark Tooth, I think it's called. And the if you win, you get a shark tooth necklace. And the bum earlier in the movie had talked about how his son was a great surfer and how he won that one year. And so presumably the shark tooth necklace that Nick steals off the rearview mirror of this car is the bum's
right.
sons. But he just takes it, puts it on because why
That's
wouldn't
why
he?
that supported what I thought was going to happen. I'm like, okay, so it's actually his son, and his son died, and he can't handle it. So he's created this like alter ego where that didn't happen, right? I'm trying to piece it together. I'm like, okay, so this movie's trying to be this, right? It feels, like it's trying to do something significant.
Right. Um,
I gave it too much credit.
yeah. Um, so if the coffee guy opens up and Nick goes to try and get his phone back because he's expecting a phone call at 9 o'clock. And the guy says, I've never seen you before. Or the guy like, I don't have your phone. And Nick's like obviously confused, but the guy's wearing his dad's watch.
Right.
So so right then it's like, okay, so it's not that was the instant giveaway that what you thought might be happening is not happening and that something more sinister is happening.
Well, I know it doesn't work perfectly, but I thought it was at least like something that the movie was trying to do. Whereas what the movie actually does, I think is way worse.
Yeah.
I'd rather have what I thought was going to happen with continuity problems than what it
So
actually does.
so after that happens, Nick goes and like sits on some steps by the beach and the realtor for the house that he was trying to buy walks down the steps with like some potential buyers, and he's like Mikey or whatever the guy's name is. I don't remember. Um, you know me, or Mikey is the name of the broker, I think. And this guy, and he's like, yeah, I'm so and so. I know Mike or whatever the guy's name is. And he's like, we've never met. And Nick had talked to this guy earlier in the movie. It showed him on the phone with this guy. So we know that he does know this guy. And
Or does he?
this guy is saying, no, we've never met. And Nick is like scaring these people from trying to scare these people from buying the house. And so the guy like pulls him aside and is like, I don't know you, man. I don't know anything about you. You're kind of freaking everybody out.
Well, because at this point, right, like he does look like crazed. He looks homeless, right?
Yeah.
And he's talking about how he's going to buy this, 1.7 million dollar house now or whatever it is.
His lips are all
Clearly,
chapped because he hasn't drank anything in forever.
he's been out there for at least 2 days at this point, right? No shoes, no wallet, no watch, no phone. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
I didn't make a note of it earlier, but when his car was dead that one time, there was a woman that had parked across from him that was a photographer, and she had given him a jump start,
right.
and taken pictures of him. They're like part of the trade was she would jumpstart his car. She was going to wanted to take pictures of him at this beach or whatever. So she just basically took pictures of him in front of the car.
But that was another point where I'm like, just leave, dude. Like
Yeah,
this is going sideways really. Even if you come back with support and other people and like, a phone and shoes, like just go, dude. And he
right.
just sticks it out and it just continues to get like at some point I don't I'm out of excuses for why he's still there.
Yeah. So after the running into the real estate guy, and having that whole interaction, he goes back to his Subaru, and starts digging through it and finds a bullet in the floorboards of the
Right.
homeless guy's car. Um, he goes back to get some water, and there's still dog shit all over the faucet, but now there's a dog that's chained up there too.
It's the
So
same
he can't
dog
even.
that chased him when he tried to get his surfboard back.
Yeah, so it's clearly the guys on the beach are fucking with him at
And
this
it's a very
point.
aggressive dog.
Yes. And so he goes to the faucet in the bathroom to get water, and the water's like brown and murky.
Well, there's a whole
Uh,
sign that says this is non-potable water, do not drink.
right.
So, for those who don't know, that means it's probably going to kill you. It's going to give you dysentery or something like that, and you are probably going to die.
Yeah.
But it's
Um,
fine. He drinks it for a day or two.
but he's not fine. I mean, he vomits and everything
No, I
else.
know. I just, there doesn't, you know what I mean?
But
Like,
the guy, he sees the dude, Scally, he sees him heading out to the beach later in the day with like a bunch of family and everything. And eventually Scally comes back up and is like, has a burger and like a sandwich and a beer for him. And it's like, listen, all you got to do is just leave. Just leave. You can have all this, it's fine, but just go. And he's like, I know you. Yeah, and we find out that like they know each other.
yeah,
Earlier in the movie, when he found out this guy's name, he Googled him when he still had his phone, and found out that he's like like a corporate influencer kind of guy, like a
yeah.
red pill kind of
A
guy,
corporate guru.
right? That like teaches men they need to be more alpha and all that bullshit. And so, but yeah, he recognized the guy because he knew him when he grew up there or whatever.
Yeah, they were like roughly the
The
same age.
family, yeah,
And yeah,
he knew the family, whatever. But yeah, so now he finds out that that guy, in fact, does know him too. Um, and and he says, "I don't need your shit." So the guy just like eats all the stuff right in front of him, and he's because he says he's going to, and Nick is like, "I don't want a handout from you." So eventually he's back into the car, and those harassing guys, the runt, whatever they're credited as, uh, I think he fell asleep in the car, but he wakes up because they're like doing creepy shit around his car, and they threw something in the car that he didn't really notice. But then they ran away, and he had woken up, and eventually he finds out that there was a rat in the car, and so he freaks out and closes the door, and then eventually he decides to take care of this rat by opening the door, grabbing the rat by the tail, and slamming it into the side of the car like 10 times.
it's an option.
I mean, it does work. Um, and he throws the rat back in the car, I think, at this point, and he goes to the bathroom again, and he's like, "Oh, I should check out that red package that the bum left here." And it's a gun. And so he loads the bullet into the gun, and he goes outside and aims it at the dog, and then doesn't do anything with it.
He does test it on a tree, and it does raise the question of did nobody else hear that?
Right. Yeah, he does fire the gun.
Like there's
Um,
people around all the time. It's pretty rare that he's like alone,
right.
you know, and nobody notices the gunshot.
Yeah. And then we get a random shot of an echidna.
Yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, it was cool to see, but it's like I thought he was going to try and eat it or something because it lingered on it more than it lingered on most of the other animals. But then we get another shot of the kookaburra.
Well, because like so at this point he has not eaten in 2 days,
Right.
right? Because the pizza was destroyed. He doesn't have any money. He can't buy anything at the little coffee shop. So like he now has not eaten in 2 full days.
Yeah, and after shooting that gun, he's walking back to his car and he sees a puddle on the ground, and he starts like licking out of the puddle. And then he like grabs the rat and like puts it in his mouth to like take a bite, but then somebody stops him.
No, nobody's.
Uh,
He notices other people. And he just kind of like second guesses it,
that's what it is, and sticks it in his pocket.
literally, which is just hilarious.
And then he goes on like a walk and finds like a bird nest and probably the nest of the kookaburra. I don't know enough about them to know if they like lay nest that low or whatever. Those
I
eggs
don't know.
did seem a little small for a kookaburra, but who knows? But yeah, he eats those
The eggs. Yeah.
as you do.
Yeah. Not the birds, the eggs.
Right, yeah. Well, there might have been birds in them. It's hard to know. That's
You know
how
what I
birds
mean? He's
start.
not, he didn't grab a kookaburra. Like,
No, but I mean, there could have been some little mini kookaburras in those eggs.
mm.
Um, but he goes back out after eating these eggs and sees the photographer there again. And she remembers him, and she's like, "What the fuck happened to you?"
I know, right?
She's like the only normal person in this movie.
Oh my God.
So she gives him some water, and he like chugs this like 1 liter bottle of water.
Sure.
Uh,
He's been baking in the Australian beach sun for 2 days.
yeah. And he's like, "You remember me?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she pulls up on her camera pictures of him with the car. And so he's like, "I do have a car." He says that to her, I think, "I do have a car." Um,
Because it's like at this point, he's starting to question if it was real. And so that's what I was like, okay, so they're gonna go that route. It's gonna be this. That's what it's gonna be. It doesn't really work, but I'll take it. No,
yeah. And so he asks if he can borrow her phone. And so he does the really important thing and calls his broker, not like family or anybody else that could help him. He
nope,
calls
not
his
his kid, not
broker.
his wife, his well ex-wife, I guess, whatever. Right? Not his nothing. Like it's so frustrating, dude, that he
Yeah.
still wants this fucking house after all of this. You want to live near these people?
Yeah.
You want to have to see these people every day? Really?
But he's talking to this broker, and the broker says, "I can only get you 7 grand and or 70 grand," and he needed 100 grand or whatever. So
Whatever it was, he's short.
yeah, he's short like 30K, and so he's not going to get the house. And so he goes down to the beach and is he had put the gun back, by the way. He didn't take it with him. He
Right.
put it back up in the thing. Um, but he goes down to the beach and decides he's going to beat the shit out of Pitbull. And so he grabs a sign on the way down and goes and smacks Pitbull across the head with it. And that counts on our bingo card, which I haven't mentioned. We do play bingo with Nicolas Cage movies, and there is one for Nick uses a melee weapon. But we
Yay.
had also gotten Nick Cage shoots a gun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he smacks the shit out of Pitbull and starts fighting him and ends up beating the shit out of him. But he shoves the rat in his mouth, which was gross.
It was gross.
Um, but yeah, then he ends up almost drowning him, and Scally comes over and is like, "No, let him show him mercy, let him live. You've proven yourself." And he lets go, and then it starts showing like it starts becoming obvious that that Skelly had set this all up to ascend him to the next level. And they carry him because he's hurt, he's not feeling great at this point. Lots of physical effort, and he was just not hydrated and not fed and just in bad shape. And so they carry him to the hut in a Christ pose,
Yeah.
like on their shoulders, but he has his arms spread as if he's like Christ on the cross, which was, I don't really get the symbolism here. I get it when Zack Snyder is comparing Superman to Christ and doing stuff like that, but in this scenario, I don't really get it, other than maybe it's because he's died and is reborn, basically, and that's the idea.
Well, that's
Um,
what the cult is trying to do. Like the question is like, do you buy into what the cult is trying to do with him? And I think it's completely bonkers and makes no sense and is totally unrealistic. But that's what this is about, though. The whole idea is you have to be broken down in suffering to nothing, and then you are
be built up.
rewarded with
Yeah.
everything you ever wanted. Kind of bullshit.
Yeah, so
Uh,
they like lay him down in this cabin, and there's a guy, apparently they have a doctor on staff who fills up a syringe and injects him with it.
I think it was the
And
guy who got branded in the earlier scene.
yeah, probably. And then the guy that he beat the shit out of, it turns out, is like a bank manager and has already approved him for the money he needs for this house, and he's going to get this house.
It's so
And
fucking dumb, man. I really don't like it at all.
yeah, and so everyone is in on this apparently.
Not
The
just
cop is
the
there, everybody's there.
everybody. The cop is there. The coffee guy is there. Like everybody but the bum.
And the
and the
photographer.
photographer,
Yeah.
right? And the French couple. Everybody else is involved. Everybody else was coordinated. They're the best actors, these people. They're all wonderful actors, and they all can take time away from their incredible jobs that they apparently have to troll and gaslight this guy
Yeah.
into joining their cult. Like, okay,
Yeah. And so they brand him because that's,
what
part
you
of the deal.
do?
Um, and so they are all tripping balls together. They do drugs. He sees Scully go in with a young girl, and he's like, "Isn't that girl a little young for him?" And they're like, "Yeah, we just don't ask questions about it."
Yeah, because they're all trash people.
Yeah. And they decide, oh, when he comes out the next morning, he questions him about that girl and questions him because the bum had told him that his dog, but how he meets the bum is he's handing out flyers for a missing dog. And we find out that he thinks Scully killed the dog
And the
and
son,
uh and and his son, yeah, and
who the girl was dating.
right. And he finds that he asks Scully about that, and Scully's like, "Well, I didn't do it," implying that like the group did it,
Yeah.
but it was his, kind of order that did it. Um, and so uh, he wants to go. His son shows up, um,
Nick's
and
son. Yeah.
Nick's son, and yeah, he wants to go surfing with him. And Scully's like, "No, you got to do one more test." Or no, Nick's son doesn't show up until after this, but he wants to go surfing by
Yeah.
himself apparently. And he's like, "No, you can't surf here until you do this one last test." And the test is to burn the homeless guy's car to the ground. And so, of course, he does it. And then the son shows up and is like, "Dad, what the fuck are you doing?"
You've
And
been
he's like,
missing for
"It's
3 days. It's Christmas, yada yada. There's a car on fire in the parking lot. Like the whole thing is so ridiculous.
Yeah." And he's like, "Dad, it's Christmas. You're supposed to be hanging out with us." And he's like, "Son, let's just go surfing." And so they head down to the beach. Um, and then as they get down to the beach, the homeless guy shows up with the gun, presumably loaded, and holds them all hostage, including the son.
Hmm.
And he's like, who should die here? And he like goes up to Pitbull with the gun, and he's like, "Tell me why you should live." And like he's like, "Okay, you can go." And he sends everybody
Well, no,
away.
he makes him bark like a dog.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
which isn't really relevant to anything, but yes.
I
And
guess
then
because
so
his name is Pitbull.
right, but I'm saying to the podcast, it's not really relevant to it. Doesn't really mean anything or do anything for the plot. Of course, half
Fine,
this movie
Ryan.
doesn't
I
really do
thought
it.
it was relevant.
But basically, the only three that end up having to stay at gunpoint, he has them like down on their knees facing the ocean, like in an execution style pose, and he's behind them. Um, he's trying to decide who he's going to shoot, and Nick is like, "I've got something for you," and takes off his necklace. Well, the necklace he was wearing that belonged to Scully or to the bum's son that he had stolen, which would have been burned up in the car, but because Nick stole it, it's safe. And so he gives it to the guy, and the guy's like, "Okay, you and your son can leave." And so they go surfing. And while they're out surfing, the dude executes Scully on the beach. And then the guy commits suicide. The homeless guy commits suicide, and then the movie ends.
And what's great is so Nick and his son are paddling out, and Nick's like, "Don't look back, don't look back." And then they get out there and both turn around to watch the dude commit
Yeah, watch
suicide.
him kill himself.
And that's the end of the fucking movie. That's it. So the
Yeah.
whole point of this movie is a man who, by the way, we find out we skipped over this, but we find out that his wife is trying to finalize the divorce because she's getting remarried, right? So it's not a happy family. She's not waiting for him at home. They've clearly been separated for quite some time, and she's getting remarried. And so the movie is about a guy whose obsession with his old family home is so strong that he will sit for 3 days in a parking lot with no food or water or shoes or phone or money and burn a man's car to the ground so he can surf.
Yeah. Yep.
There's
And so,
nothing relatable about that story, man.
yeah. No, I agree with you. I mean, we've covered a lot of that already. It's we neither of us I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy this movie. I would say that I enjoyed it for what it was. It was not good though. It definitely like I just didn't know what was gonna happen, but not in like a fun way. More
I
just
got
like I guess I gotta finish watching this to see how it ends.
See, the thing is, like, I just was like, dude, leave. Just leave. Why are you still here? Like, I was talking to the TV a few times. Like, just go. Like, I was just done with it. Like, I'm looking at the scores from other movies. I'm like, I don't know what to give this because, like, I'm looking at
Well, you
what.
have time to think because we need
Yeah.
to cover look at some reviews first.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and some of these might answer some of the questions you have, Derek. So before you decide on a score, let's talk about it. So
Okay.
let's start with the 10 out of 10 reviews because the very top review on the 10 out of 10 review is from someone named Redbeard Celtic, um, who gave this a 10 out of 10. And his title of this is Are You Ready? Surfer Explained. So we're going to answer all your questions, Derek.
All right. Let's do it. Wow me.
The Surfer is a very well crafted psychological mystery with a lot of misdirection. First, the Surfer is an unreliable narrator. He is a person suffering from a mental illness. Number one, the house. This is his origin and past, the beginning point of his trauma. His obsession in purchasing this house led to his eventual outcome as the bum on the beach without money, phone, and his Lexus. We are shifted and misdirected to the bullies on the beach, but they do not actually exist. Misdirection. What causes him to become like this? His obsession alone. Two, the locals. What does it mean only locals can surf here? See, we're directed to these people, the surfers, as the antagonists. But it is the opposite. Since we know the surfer is the one struggling with some sort of mental state, obsession that was just destroying his life, these surfers are actually his own defense mechanism trying to protect him from buying that house, becoming part of the locals or the locals of his delusion. They are, in fact, telling him to go back to his life, to reality. Three, the bum. The bum is actually him, what he has become from his obsession and mental illness. In a sense, it is his delusional short version of what probably took years. He's losing his phone, his watch, his family, his Lexus, his job, and becoming that bum living in the station wagon at the beach, unable to purchase that house. Four, Scully. The bum said Scully killed his son. Scully is the one preventing him from returning to this past and becoming part of the locals. His obsession with surfing on that beach is what alienated him from his son. This is what we saw in the beginning of the film, right? His son was scared and shaken up by Scully. No, in fact, his son was scared at the surfer's behavior. Surfer blames Scully, but it was himself. Five, the ending. Becoming the locals means he has completely lost himself to his delusions. Scully and the locals are not real. They're all part of his internal defense mechanism against his mental illness. Kill Scully means that he lost his last connection to reality. It means the surfer is literally the bum. He didn't end up surfing with his son. That was his delusion. He killed himself on the beach in the same manner as his father. Judging from his behavior, it looks like he was suffering from schizophrenia. His behavior in the film mirrors this. The paranoia, delusion, losing his job, alienating his family, etc. These are all classic cases of schizophrenia. The film is about the surfer succumbing to his inherited mental illness, like his father, and in the end, he killed himself, just like his father. Summary: his father had schizophrenia, killed himself on that beach. His family moved away. He married, has a son, great job, but the mental illness progresses and pulls him back to the origin point, the house, his father, the place of suicide. The illness sends him down spiral, losing his job, wife, and son. He is the bum living in the station wagon. So that answers everything for you?
I mean, look, I was hoping it was going to go into that type of realm. And if you read that from reading it because perhaps things like schizophrenia are personal to you, then that's perfectly fine. Because great, you were able to get more out of the movie. But at no point in the movie does it explain that his dad had schizophrenia. We just know that his dad killed himself. People commit suicide for a wide range of tragic reasons. Could have been another mental illness, could have been something that wasn't a mental illness. There's a lot of reasons for that to happen. The rest of it is we see him after the bum dies.
Yeah.
If the final shot in the movie is the bum dying with Nick out of frame, then you can take kind of like the inception leap of, well, the movie ended when the bum died, maybe he was the bum, and the flashbacks are his previous version of his life and things like that. But since he still exists after the bum dies, it kind of breaks that narrative. I think the movie looked at those things and decided not to do that.
Yeah.
Because I was hoping that's where it was going. I said that earlier, right? Like I wanted it to go in that direction. I thought that would have been more interesting and more emotional. and gives people some type of connection to it, people who have struggled with these types of things. I think the movie walked up to that line and then turned around and went the other way.
Yeah, agreed. One more 10 out of 10 here. This is from MD Hancock, and this kind of reinforces what we talked about a little bit earlier. I'm rating this a 10, less because I need to, and more to offset the flood of low scores left by people who clearly lacked the intellectual horsepower to grasp what they were watching.
Jesus.
Cage, as expected, is a flawless 10 out of 10, but the real brilliance here lies in the cinematography and audio direction, which elevate the entire experience beyond what most viewers seem capable of appreciating. I'll admit there were a few moments where things dragged on longer than necessary and I briefly lost the thread. That said, considering I managed to fully understand Inception on my very first watch, I suspect my grasp on reality remains a little firmer than most. Ah, the irony. Overall, I think this will end up being one of those underappreciated films that grows quietly in reputation over time. It's the kind of movie that rewards a second or third viewing, especially once the current trends and what's considered popular fade into the background. Some stories just take a little while to find their audience. And then he tips his fedora to us after explaining this movie for us so that we can hit his intellectual level.
Uh,
All right,
yeah,
so
man. I mean,
some
look, we're just big dum-dums. That's
look,
all.
there's 10 out of 10 rankings on this movie and 41 1 out of 10s on this movie.
We're all
So
dum-dums. We can't all be that smart,
we
man.
can't
Big
all
brain.
understand Inception on the first watch,
That's right.
So from P. Carlson's gives us a 1 out of 10 and says totally pointless. Nick Cage plays another loser in a movie done by losers.
Oh,
Why
God.
did anyone think it was a good idea to make this movie? It runs like a bunch of amateurs went to the beach a couple days and shot video without any script or ideas on what story to tell. They went home and cut it together and managed to sell the movie to some guy or girl with money, but no sense or idea of what a good movie is. Then they managed to distribute the abomination and fool fans of Nick Cage to pay money to see it, not knowing what garbage it is. So again, there's no story, there's nothing to tell, nothing to see. This movie quickly becomes a drag and a bore. Do yourself a favor and avoid this like the plague. Uh, Burke Sues says cultural cringe and plot holes you can drive a Mack truck through. This was an unbelievably stupid movie, made in a beautiful part of the world. It makes Australians look stupid. They are not, and throws in token Australiana creepy crawlies into the movie ad nauseum, even when they are unrelated to the plot. True, we did mention that. So many unanswered questions and typo things. Why didn't he have accommodation if he has come from the USA to a remote part of the world? Why did he drink obviously tainted water? Why did he get injected with drugs? Why didn't he clean the water fountain to access the clean water? Since when do surfers get tribal tattoos? Why was the lead surfer so old? This is a couple hours of my life I will never get back. Fair
I mean, the
enough.
lead server being, I think the age is fine. I don't
Yeah.
have a problem with that.
People surf, you know, pretty
Yeah.
late into their lives, so
You know what? I am comfortable saying that at the time of shooting this, he was in better shape than I am now. All right. So,
yeah, I would probably agree with that on my end too. So now it would be a good idea to rate the movie now that you've had it explained to you by people that are
yeah,
significantly smarter than both of us.
now that I understand it.
Right.
Um, no, I mean, like we've talked a lot about it. I think the performances are good. I really do. I think they all do a very good job. They are believable in the roles. I just don't think that the story makes sense. I don't think that the conspiracy of getting everybody on board and they're all great actors makes any sense. I think also because that would have been a shit ton of work and he could have just left on day one
Yeah.
and then he did all of that for nothing, right? So like this is a dude who shows up with his son to surf. They're immediately kicked out, and he takes his son home. Any number of reasons he could have not come back, and that they just all would have wasted all of this incredible effort and acting ability for nothing. It's not believable for me at all. I think steering into the mental illness piece would have been way more interesting. Steering into him actually being the bum, and this was like a split with him trying to reconcile everything, would have been more interesting and more emotional and explain away some of the it doesn't make sense what his decisions are mentality. But I don't think the movie's actually doing that. I think it's part of the gaslighting for Nick's character, the surfer, and that's as far as it goes. So it's hard for me to rate this really high. I think I'm trying not to be like overly brutal, but I'm looking at the scores of these other movies, and I think I have to give it a 5.
What did we give Mandy?
Mandy, we gave a much higher number, if I recall. Mandy, we gave it a 15.
Oh wow, okay. Um yeah, I mean I'm not gonna go nearly as low as you. Um I think this is an average movie in terms of Nick Cage. trying to be something more. I think it's better than the movies that we put at a five, but um, you know, eight. I think I'm at an eight with it. It's not. It's like on the lowest part of average for me.
Okay. I mean, I think that's fair. I was looking at some of the movies around it. Like, I gave Peggy Sue Got Married and The Boy in Blue each a six. I think those are both better than this. And so,
You think The Boy in Blue is better than this?
yeah, because the Boy in Blue is at least a coherent story that makes sense. Like, it's not my favorite movie. I'm not going to go watch it anytime soon, but I'd rather watch that than this.
Fair enough.
It does make me think I gave the Ant Bully too high a number because I gave the Ant Bully a six, and that should probably have been lower, but that happens sometimes.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I just don't think the movie really makes a whole lot of sense.
fair enough. So we have a little bit of distance between us on this one.
Yeah,
Now we got to do caginess. And cagey, it was very cagey.
it was pretty cagey.
It was up there. I'm thinking 16.
So, yeah, I mean, you gave Mandy a 17 just for perspective. Um,
Ooh, maybe I'll drop that to a 15 then because he was more cagey and Mandy, I
I
think.
agree. So that puts us on the same level then. I was going to give it a 15.
Yeah.
So,
I was struggling between a 15 and a 16 anyway, so yeah, I think 15 is fair.
so that gives it a 15 on caginess, and quality ends up being a 6.5, um, which puts it in the could be interesting to watch
If you
quadrant.
like yeah, if you like Nick Cage, then yeah.
Yeah, the low quality, high cagey quadrant has some interesting stuff in it if that's your bag,
I would call this interesting, honestly. So, I mean, that quadrant is probably just full of interesting, weird off the wall kind of movies.
well, you've got things like Vampire's Kiss and Deadfall, Prisoners of the Ghostland, Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, Sunny, Peggy Sue Got Married is in there, but kind of barely.
Yeah, and see,
Um,
those are all movies that I would recommend to somebody if they wanted just like super cagey and didn't care about the quality.
Zondali is in there as well
Again,
as
that's another one I would throw in that. Yeah, all those make sense to me. So
yep.
yeah, this should be clumped in with those, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Yeah. So, hey, that means it goes on our cage-o-meter. We didn't actually explain our scoring. So, yeah, if you go out to comingofcage.com, you can see our cage-o-meter. It's interactive now, so you can kind of see all of the movies, where they fall, and highlight them and see their individual scores and all of that. But we have a 20-point scale here because Nick's been in over 120 productions at this point, and we're trying to not have too many of them overlap exactly with each other. So we spread it out with a 20-point scale, one low, 20 high. So there you go. So for example, this has a 5.9 on IMDb, which is a 10-point scale. So it's basically a 12 on IMDb for our scale, right? So we're below what the general public is saying with this one, but there you go. So overall quality, overall caginess, 6.5 on quality, 15 on caginess. So the next thing we have to do is we pick our movies by spinning the Wheel O Cage, and the Wheel O Cage has a handful of movies on it, but not all of the movies on it. So once we finish talking about a movie, we have to add a movie to the wheel. So replacing the surfer and joining the wheel, now eligible to be picked, is The Old Way, which is another relatively modern film. I think
That's
that
another
was his
Western, isn't it?
it is a Western. I think that was the one that was his quote first Western that we were discussing with Butcher's Crossing.
Yeah.
So that is eligible now to be picked. It joins the wheel with some other really kind of heavy hitters. Wild at Heart is on the wheel. Dream Scenario, The First Ghost Rider, The Wicker Man, Color Out of Space, Kick Ass, among others, are all on the wheel right now and could very well be our next Nicolas Cage movie. Very few movies left off the wheel, but The Rock has still never been on the wheel. It's sitting there with just what? Just five. There's five movies left that have not joined the wheel, Ryan.
Yep.
Just
That's true.
five. And The
We're
Rock
getting
is
there.
one of them. So that's still out there with Captain Corelli's mandolin.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ryan, anything else on The Surfer?
No, we were pretty thorough.
I think so. All right. Well, hey, check out our Cageo Bingo where we play custom Nicolas Cage themed bingo as we watch Nicolas Cage movies. Check out the Wheel o' Cage. Go to comingofcage.com for all of our links. You can subscribe on your podcast app of choice, and you can watch us on the Derrico Studios YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in as we near 100 Nicolas Cage movies. I'm Derek. That's Ryan.
We'll see you next time.